Hello, boys and girls, men and women of all ages, shapes, and sizes. How are you all doing? It is time for tutorial time today, and this one is a little bit special because in a week it's gonna be Bonfire Night in Britain. If you've never heard of Bonfire Night, it's a big holiday where we celebrate someone trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament by burning an effigy of him on a big fire. It's kind of weird, but there's fireworks and nice food, so it's pretty good. This is going to be a two-part tutorial, kind of, because today I'm going to show you how to make a bonfire, and next week, I'm going to show you how to make a firework display, which would be pretty good. Now, you may be sitting here and thinking, what are you talking about, Owen? I know how to make a fire. It's really easy. You just stack some burnable stuff, and you get your flint and steel, and you burn it. But that doesn't actually work that well, and there's a reason that doesn't work that well, which is if you make a big old beautiful stack of firewood here, what you'll find is that it will just immediately burn off kind of quickly. It'll burn, it'll spread, it'll burn a fair amount of the pile, but you'll be left with all this kind of unusual floating blocks and stuff, and you don't want that. So what you do first is you make yourself a base. Now, bonfires in Britain, if you've never been to a classic British bonfire, and if you're not British, why would you have been? Are essentially made of scrap wood. People contribute scrap wood. People take up all kinds of wood they want to get rid of as like a communal thing. You got wood laying around everywhere, all kinds of different types. People bring everything together and then just ditch a ton of the scrap wood. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make a kind of a netherrack base for the bonfire here. And what this will do is this will kind of live under the fire. And be a kind of base for us, because as you know, netherrack is an infinitely burning item. Once you set it on fire, it'll burn forever. I'm placing blocks all over the place here, but what we're really trying to get to is kind of a loose cone shape. We're not going to keep this particular, and you don't want it to be too perfect, because if it's too perfect, it'll be a bit obvious that it's built on something. So we just kind of build up a little cone. And we're going to take a fair amount of this away, because we still want this to have wood in it. We still want it to be mostly wood. Now, some of this will be left behind, but what we're trying to basically find is a nice sort of base so that when the fire is kind of done, this will mostly be left behind. So start making yourself kind of a loose cone shape under where your bonfire will go. And you kind of want to just then, once you've got kind of the maximum height of it and a few sides, take out a little bit here and there. And essentially, I think having a kind of central pile makes sense. Now, you might have with some of this floating, but the advantage of this is, if you look, it does not look unlike a pile of ash. So you have to kind of think about how it's going to look once you're done. So that's going to look kind of like just like a leftover pile of ash and rotten burnt stuff, you know? I mean, if you're familiar with Minecraft, it's of course going to look like netherrack. But the whole process, the idea is to make it look a little bit less like you're going to left with just hollow wood. Now, because it's scrap wood, what you want to do is essentially get as many different types of wood as you can find. As you can see, I've got all kinds of different types here. I'm going to save the logs for now, but then just go around placing bits of bonfire wood. You can have it inside here, anywhere you like, just these planks. And if you just went with one kind of wood, it's going to look like a structure. But it needs to look kind of higgledy-piggledy, if you know what I mean. It needs to look kind of uneven. It wants to look kind of broken up. So that's some, what was that? Jungle wood. Okay, and then spruce. Lay these around here. And you want to try and hide every little bit of netherrack if you can. Okay, that's a bit too much spruce in one place, so we'll spread it a little thin from around about here. Get the netherrack completely disguised. Now, I'm going to have to build another one of these, because I'm going to burn this today. I'm going to have to build another one. And what you want to do is leave occasionally a piece of netherrack a little bit exposed, because for netherrack to burn forever, it needs to be ignited, basically. There we go, we got 3 colors going on here, and we're starting to block off a fair amount of the original space. Here we go. Now, I will pop these a little bit here. So with the netherrack, you kind of want something that'll be ignitable. There we go, and a few logs. We don't want too many logs, but it makes it look a little bit more scrap woody, you know? If you just make it out of one type of wood, like I say, it'll look too much like it's one big structure. But if you break this up with logs, actually, let's, where's my axe? My inventory is full of everything I need to build this today. And a pick for some reason. Let's lay that way so that we get almost the sense of a complete log out of there. And then we just go through hiding our points of netherrack a little bit. Now, do you know, I've gone in here with almost a little bit of information I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know if netherrack needs to be ignited. If the netherrack needs to be ignited to burn, we're going to have to leave some sparse. But, you know, we can do that because bonfires will often have a piece of sort of, a piece of kind of extra flammable gear on top. I don't want to put too much extra acacia down now if I can avoid it, because the thing about acacia is a little bit of it goes a long way when you're kind of varying up your wood. You know, it's such a, puts more acacia down. Just says that, then puts more acacia down. It's such a, yeah, I don't want more oak either. Blurp. There we go. Total professional. Okay, jungle wood. There we go. It's important to get these varieties. So we'll leave, let's leave, that there as one of our starting points. Clear this out here, because we don't want to have two pieces of netherrack so close together. That can go there. And then we just want to have a few, just like I say, a few places where, I see, that's exposed like 3 pieces of netherrack. So we'll clear a little bit of this back too. We don't want to have too much netherrack just kind of burning and showing. Like I say, it wants to look a bit like a pile of ash once it's done, but we don't want to find that it's essentially too obvious that that's kind of there to sustain the fire. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so that's kind of our starting point. Now, we can keep building this higher if we want, but that's basically the look you're going for, kind of a higgledy-piggledy mass of different stuff. And what you could also do is, I won't bother doing this today just for now, but what you can also do is things like giving it staircases, ladders, fence posts. You can try and make it look really junky, you know, by combining on different things. But this is a nice simple way. The more unusual pieces you put on, the more you're going to have to kind of make it look less artificial. And then we're going to have, of course, our guy. And the simplest way to do a guy is an armor stand and some armor. Which I'm going to have to just put these on here. Shuffle through my inventory. Yeah, so for people who don't know, many years ago in Britain, a gentleman named Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. He would later become famous for the movie V for Vendetta. And we sort of commemorate his death. It's from the time when Britain was caught up between a sectarian divide between Protestantism and Catholicism, if that interests you. Alright, so what we should have now is, if we go and ignite the... Do you know, I don't know if the guy will burn. I don't remember if that counts as a wooden item. If we now go and ignite the netherrack at a few spots around here, we should now start to build a nice fire that spreads from the netherrack, rather than just going out too quickly. Because that's what you need to worry about. You don't want it to die too soon. And we should also be able to see if that netherrack's going to keep burning. I should have done a test run of this. I've actually done this before a couple of times. As sort of celebration builds. A lot of YouTubers like to do Halloween builds. But I'm a big fan of the Bonfire Night build. Because why the hell not? Now, hopefully, this will spread. I don't want to find that it won't spread, and I'll have to do this video again, because I'll look silly. It's always the way in Minecraft, though, isn't it? The fire spreads like crazy when you're building a house, but when it's something you're just building for fun, it doesn't want to. There we go. See, it's igniting. It's taking away all the wood, leaving behind... I mean, don't get me wrong, it is leaving behind the netherrack as kind of a pile of ash. But, because netherrack won't burn, but it is getting it started a little bit. And there we go. The guy is starting to ignite. I knew it would get destroyed. Look at that. Whoa! The guy has gone. The fire is proceeding. It's tempting to kind of go at a little bit more, but I think it should all burn up. And there you go. If next week you are planning on doing a lovely bonfire night burn, and you want a bonfire that will actually carry all the way across and burn up all your wood for a little while, rather than just burning out. Because if you look, there's been a few points where the fire's almost been ready to go out. That's kind of how you do it. A nice even burn across the whole way. It would have been a little better if I'd exposed a few more netherrack patches, actually, and maybe given it 4 starting points, a little bit more spread around. But all in all, I think that's pretty good. If you'd done that without the netherrack, what you would have been left with is a too many kind of open blocks. It wouldn't have spread as consistently because the fire would have gone out a little bit too fast. And yeah, but as it is, we've got the nice burn going, and it looks like we're going to lose this last side. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a really simple build, but hopefully useful to you. I will just say one last thing. If you're coming here because you are very, very new to Minecraft, you might want to know how to make the flint and steel, and it's actually really easy. You just take iron and flint. You get iron by burning iron ore. I'll let that burn up. I'll come back to that in a moment. And these creepers will blow me up. What you do is you take iron and flint. Here's your crafting recipe. You get iron. Oh, okay. Good time for this. Good time for this, creeper. Try to do a tutorial, alright. Alright, we'll get him out of the way. There we go. Okay, the other one's not following. So what you do for your flint and steel, that's your... excuse me. Rude spider. That is your crafting recipe there. It's 1 iron, 1 flint. You might not get attacked by a zombie when you do it. And it's pretty easy. You get flint by digging gravel, and you get iron by, obviously, mining for iron ore. So there you go. Hopefully that was useful to you, my fellow British people. And there we go. We've also got the netherrack to catch there. So what's nice about that is it did take a little while for the netherrack to catch. I was a little worried it wouldn't actually ignite on its own. But this will now start to spread. And what that means is if you're doing maybe an event, if you've got friends coming and you want to do a bonfire event on the channel, your channel, or your game, or your server, or whatever, if you put a netherrack base for your fire there, and like I say, give it a few more starting points than I have, I think. If I was doing it again, I would do that. You've now got a bonfire that, okay, it doesn't look as good as it did when it had the wood on, but you can put more wood on. You can make this bigger. You can put more nether through it if you want for a longer burn. But once the netherrack starts to catch, you've got a fire that's burning for as long as whatever else you want to do. So, for example, next week we're going to build a firework display, and you'll be able to have it burn for as long as those fireworks are going. So there you go. That's how I make bonfires, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in a week with a firework display if you're interested. So thank you guys. You're all wonderful people. Bye-bye.